everybody. This is Judy Carter with a fantastic webinar for you with a wonderful guest, because this is going to answer your question, how do you stop working for free and how do you get paid? So here we're going to talk about how to go from free to fee. Try saying that 20 times fast. Forget about it. My guest is an award-winning international keynote speaker. He's a trainer. He's an author. He runs his own business. He is known in the biz as a motivational movie star. When you'll see him, you know what I'm talking about. Anyway, he is known as the speaker who energizes, educates, entertains, and uses adjectives starting with E. Now, he has spoken in 47 of 50 states, 20 countries, and 5 continents. In 2000, he was the world champion of public speaking. This is Toastmasters International's highest speaking award. And in 2008, he earned the Certified Speaking Professional designated by the National Speakers Association. He's an expert on leadership, business, presentational skills, and he is also an expert on how to make money, how to monetize your speaking. Here he is, ladies and gentlemen, Ed Tate. Hey, Ed.
Hey, Judy, how you doing? I think my time's up with the introduction alone.
There's so much to say about you, Ed. You even mentioned the big thing, which is never cut your bangs yourself. But anyway. Right,
I have no bangs, as you can see.
You don't have to worry about that.
Yeah. But the bangs are reclining, you know.
Yeah, it was like, let me try this myself, but forget about it. Okay, so let's talk about Ed.
Yes.
Tell me a little bit how you learned how to, monetize, because as a Toastmaster, you're not making any money. So how did you learn to monetize?
Well, my background is I'm a former executive in the computer industry. I've sold $500 million worth of computers I can sell. And when I won the World Championship of Public Speaking, I was very fortunate. I was booked by agents, bureaus, training companies, consulting firms, etc. And I rode that gravy train for 7 years until the dawn of the economic tsunami in 2007, 2008. And everything went away. So after being in business for 7 years, I had to learn how to market myself for the first time. So, number one, you and only you are responsible for your marketing. Here's the other thing, is you got to market every single day. I have a very sophisticated tool. Now, some of the young people aren't going to like this, Judy, but this sophisticated tool, I call this the sales pad. Now, it has no internet connection, and this is a yellow pad of paper, and this is a pen. So for younger people, before there was Facebook, this is how we communicated. But anyway, sales pad. Basically, every single day, what you must do is have a conversation with someone about money. Preferably, you have multiple conversations with people about money every single day. So again, you're responsible for your own marketing, and you must have conversations about money every single day. But that's not what your initial question. Your initial question was, how do you monetize this? How do you make that switch? So after I lost everything, here are the steps that I took. Step number one is, and I learned this from the computer industry, we used to play this game, and it was called Who Do You Know? So if there was a company that we were targeting, we would literally call in our salespeople, our marketing people, our technicians, you name it. We bring them all into a room and says, do you know anybody who works in that building over there? It doesn't matter who it is. Who do you know? So basically what you should do is make a list of the 100 people that you know, the 100 most influential people that you know. And what you're going to do is you're going to take out your sales pad and you're going to call these people every single day. And you're going to tell them, hey, I'm a paid professional speaker. As silly as it sounds.
Wait a second. You're going to call them? You mean using this?
Yeah, yes. So that's some old. That's some other. You're going to have conversation. Not email. You're not email. Now you may send an email to them or social media to say, "Hey, I'm going to call you," but you're actually going to have a conversation with them and let them know exactly what you do. I got to tell you, whenever my sales are down, my numbers are low, my pipeline is not filled, I break out my list of 100. Here's what I've discovered. Usually no more than 10 to 15 calls into that list, I find some money. So step number one, make a list of 100 the most influential people that you know and start calling them. Number two, speak for free. Now, I'm sure everyone's heard this before. Now, I have a couple different twists about speaking for free. Speaking for free for what I call your Alex or your Adrian. Your Alex or your Adrian, this is your best fit customer. This is your best fit client. For example, for me, I'm a former executive. I'm a former C-level executive. So guess who I call in? I'll speak for free if there's going to be a bunch of C-level executives in that audience. That's my Alex. That's my best fit customer or client. I'll speak for free for that audience all day long because I know that at the end of the day, I'm going to have 2 or 3 people walk up to me and say, hey, how much do you charge? Can you give this talk in our organization? So speak for free in front of your Alex. Just don't speak for free just to be speaking for free.
Wait, let me ask you something about that. You're saying
Sure.
you speak because that's what you did.
Yep.
You were a C-level manager.
Yep.
And I'm not sure what that is because I've actually never had a job. So, yeah, this is my job.
CEO, CFO, that type of thing. Yeah.
Okay. And I see. So, but what you're really saying is you want to speak for free if it puts you in front of your desired audience. This is
Exactly.
the audience that you want to get paid to speak to.
And specifically buyers, or what I call in sales, we call it the economic buyer. An economic buyer is a person who can actually sign the check. Typically not human resources, not purchasing. It's someone who's in charge of a project who could sign a check and who can bring you in. And usually in any type of buying scenario, there's only one of those. There's a lot of people who pretend to be the economic buyer, specifically human resources and purchasing. They can say no, but they can't say yes. So speak for free. And when you speak for free, you want to when you're actually on stage in front of your ideal client or customer, you want to do what I call on stage, you want to swap, seed, and spin. So swap, seed, and spin. What does that mean? You want to swap stands for selling without annoying people. So, and seed means plant seeds about what you do. So for example, I will tell a story about another customer or client who's just like the people in the audience and about a problem that we solved. Okay. And then you want spin. What I mean by spin is if I don't get at least 2 to 3 people walk up to me and ask me if, how much it's going to cost, then I wasn't very, very successful with regard to that. So what you want to do is when you're speaking for free in front of your Alex is, swap, sell without annoying people, plant seeds about what you do, how you solve problems, and then get some spin-off business. Okay. So from there, after you speak for free, here's something else I like doing is I like doing a debrief. So sometimes I'm hired by people and I love doing a debrief. It's part of my sales process. As a matter of fact, 100% of my customers, we have to have a debrief. It's part of the process. And the reason I love debriefs is this is when I sell my next speaking engagement. So the best time to get a second speaking engagement is right after you've been successful with the first one. And then I have ideas or suggestions as to what we can do moving forward. Hey, how can we keep this momentum going? Once is never enough. You can't hear a message one time. You can't have one interaction whatsoever. Once is never enough. Now, I know you as a comedian could take that someplace else, but we're not going to go there. But once is never enough. And then I have suggestions and ideas as to how we can move this forward.
So if you're doing something for free, I would imagine in your negotiations, you put that when it's over, I want to schedule a conversation. And actually you do that scheduling before you do the gig.
Exactly.
And then during that conversation, you talk about not only you did, but try to get some spin-off business. Who else would you know that would benefit from this message? What other departments? Can you give me their email? Can you refer me, etc.? Right? Like that. Is that what you're talking about?
Absolutely. And here's something else I will do is, for example, I have certain terms that I just won't speak for free. Again, it has to be my Alex. But here's something else. I will have that debrief. I will ask you for referrals. I'm going to ask you for some type of letter on your letterhead, or you give me a LinkedIn recommendation. And the other thing is, if it makes sense, can I sell my products and services in the back of the room? So those are my terms. If those terms aren't met, I walk away. After all, it's, you get your fee free or you flee. That's my principles with regard to that.
Yeah. Also, I never thought of the LinkedIn referral, but that is really a great idea. And also getting it on their letterhead, and now you have testimony. Now, for people who are watching this who have never spoken before, they're looking to do some gigs just to get some stage time. Mm-hmm. And can't it also be that you use these free gigs to start to practice and also to get video on yourself? Because maybe in a half-hour speech, you might have 3 minutes of brilliance that you can use to sell yourself. Do you also put that into your contract when working for free?
Absolutely. And for example, if it's a situation, for example, I had a coaching client of mine, and she just spoke for something called Ignite Denver. So the deal was, it was a free gig, but they did a 2-camera shoot. So 2-camera shoot, large stage, large audience. The video looked great. Now, here's a couple other tips I would recommend with regard to the video. Make sure that you have the rights to the video footage, that you'll get it immediately, because sometimes people take their time getting this video to you, and also have them mic the audience. Here's a mistake a lot of people make. You get this great footage, it looks great. Say, for example, you're funny, you're humorous like you are. You want to be able to get that laughter or get the audience's reaction. And in many instances, I've noticed that I just spoke for 11,000 people in Vancouver. We spoke in this cavernous convention center. And if you were just watching the video, you couldn't tell that there were 11,000 people in the room because they didn't mic the audience. So make sure they mic the audience.
Yeah, and one thing about that, I know that, like when I did my TEDx talk, and it was like, I was getting laughs, but it's just totally dead because they go in through the mic, is that you can leave your cell phone running and record it and just add that to the second track when you edit it. Yeah, it's like, don't even bother. Just have a second recording so in the audience, and leave your cell phone there. And then when someone steals it, you can always track it if it's an iPhone. Okay. All right. So what's another step to go from?
I know this one's going to sound kind of crazy, and it's going to sound very simplistic. And when someone said it to me, my first reaction was, of course. But it's not as simple as you think, and it's to follow up. I read in this book called Guerrilla Marketing. It said that 68% of people don't follow up on leads. To me, that's ludicrous. That's crazy. Why would you not follow up? And then I always thought that they were making it up until I spoke for the American Marketing Association, and their number was 74%. 75% of people do not follow up on leads. If by you just following up on the same day that they met you or within 24 hours, you're setting yourself apart. I was just absolutely stunned at the number of people who just don't follow up on leads. I don't have no clue reason why, but follow up. As simple as that tip is, it's a powerful tip, and it'll put you ahead of 75% of your competition.
And when I would imagine not following up is because you're nervous. You're nervous. We performers, especially people who are in comedy, are great on stage, but then it comes to using this thing and making a call. It's just like, it's so scary. So I'm going to call. I mean, what do I say? Hi. Hi, you gave me your business card. I'm Judy Carter, the speaker, red hair, big, that one. Right. And, okay, I'll hold. Anyway, so when we follow up, to avoid that kind of awkwardness, what do we do?
2 things. Number 1 is, if you do it fast, they will remember you. Typically what happens is they'll say, oh, Judy, I remember you were hilarious. I've been telling all my friends about you. If you follow up quickly, it's fresher in their mind. They don't have to recall that. And then you say, well, we exchange information. We thought there might be a fit, or I possibly can do this for your company. It doesn't have to be really sophisticated. Just a natural transition or what's the natural next step? And you're just testing to see if they're interested in possible. Do you have workshops, or do you have annual conferences or conventions, or do you think this message might resonate with some other people in your company? That's all. Just have a simple conversation. You don't have to be salesy. Here's my greatest tip of all in terms of talking to people on the phone. You know, Judy, when you're on stage, do you have confidence when you're on stage?
Yeah. Okay.
Absolutely. Okay.
Yeah, I have confidence when I'm on stage.
I want you to take that confidence that you take on the stage and transfer it to the phone. And here's what I mean by this. Pretend that you're on the stage when you're talking to people on the phone. That persona, that confidence, it carries over. I know it sounds kind of weird and ethereal, but it works. So if you have, for example, for me, when I'm on stage, I'm pretty confident. You know, I've got credentials to say I'm one of the best speakers in the world. You know what? I'm going to take that same mindset in the conversation, not arrogantly, but I'm just going to take that same persona. I'm actually going to pretend like I'm on the stage. Now, I'm not going to be speaking like I'm on the stage or anything like that, but I'm just going to carry that confidence or that mindset when I have that conversation with that individual. And usually it carries over. Here's another tip. If you have something good that happens to you, you have a success, or say, for example, someone says yes to you, remember our top 100 list? That's the best time to call somebody else. Keep calling, keep calling, keep calling, keep calling, because that confidence is going to carry, it's infectious. So whatever you do, when you have something great happens to you, take that enthusiasm and make sure you use it for your good.
This is such great advice, because you're saying when you make these calls, you should be wearing clothes, right? Right? You should like, do something with your hair, not cut your own bangs.
Yeah, don't cut your own bangs.
Yeah, put on some makeup and show up to the phone, like make an entrance into your office or your bedroom, wherever you make the calls from, and make it. One thing you're saying, Ed, which is so great, you're showing us that there is opportunity everywhere, and most of the time it's just slipping through our fingers. It's not a big mystery if you put out in sales. Another thing you said, which is your tip one, which was don't wait for someone to book you. Do it yourself, and let go of someday my agent will come thinking, someday someone's going to come and save me. They're not. Anyway, what's another tip?
The overarching goal is a couple things. There are a couple just mindset issues. Activity leads to confidence. Any type of activity will improve your confidence, whether you fail or not. As long as you have some type of activity, I think what happens is it's worse when you're sitting there and the phone looks like it weighs 500 pounds. and you start, let me just clean up the house. Or, for guys, let me watch, ESPN. Wimbledon's on right now. Let me just, a couple, and then I'll get back to this. Activity improves morale and confidence. The other thing, it's never the economy. It's always your economy. I had to start my business all over again from scratch in the worst economic crisis of my lifetime. And what I discovered is, guess what? There's business out there. State Farm Insurance got started during the Depression. Microsoft got started during like a very bad recession. So it's never the economy. It's always your economy. You control your economy through your activity. So always take some type of activity. Here's a quick one. And for example, I live here in Las Vegas, and I use this one pretty regularly. They're called hotel reader boards. So when you go to a hotel, they have this agenda of all the different organizations and companies that are there. Well, guess what you should do? You should just go to these hotels, introduce yourself to the people who work in the registration desk. Their job is to be friendly to anyone who comes along. And you can ask, that's their job. And say, hey, how's it going, et cetera? Do you guys hold this? Is this an annual conference that you hold, et cetera? And, oh, okay, cool. How many people? And who are the people who are actually in charge of this? So now you've got the decision maker's name. Okay, and said, well, thank you very much. I appreciate it. And usually they always give you the information. They have to hire somebody for the following year. Why not you? So don't call them the next day.
Brilliant.
Don't call them that day. All right. Let them let a week go by. So what you might do is that if they give you their email address or their phone number, what you might do is, hey, I understand that you have this conference. I'm sure you're super busy right now and you need a chance to debrief. I just like to contact you within the next couple of weeks and to discuss possibly next year's speakers or presenters. This is a fast way to generate activity, especially if you have no list, if you've got no experience whatsoever. And it's a good idea to see if it's a good fit for your topic or your subject. So what are the topics or subjects that they're looking for? So this is a real fast way for you to generate activity in a very short period of time.
So what you're saying is this step is to do what the hookers do. Hang around hotels looking for clients. Great tip.
I'm going to rename this. I'm going to call this the hooker approach.
Yeah, this is definitely, it's Vegas, baby. And another one is what I found is that when you're speaking for a local meeting or a statewide event, that every single state has the same organization, has their own events, and that seems like another referral. So what's another tip?
Once you establish yourself, spend 60% of your time with your customers or past customers, 30% of your time with prospects, and only 10% of your time with what I call strangers. When I first got into the business, I used to spend a lot of my marketing dollars trying to find the next gig. And I would try to market to people who did not know me. They didn't have a clue as to who I was, et cetera. And I spent 100% of my marketing dollars that way. One of the things that helped me recover very quickly is the first step I took was spending, in this case, 60 and 30, that's 90% of my time with people who had heard of me before. My current customers or my past customers. Prospects, they had heard of me because I had sent them a proposal. What they all had in common was that at some place, at some time in their lives, they had heard of Ed before. So I was spending 90% of my time with people who already knew me. I was able to generate $45,000 in 45 days, starting from scratch, using just that one simple technique. So after you establish your business, make sure that people, they continue to hear from you. You do a great job, with your newsletter. My wife was just talking about your newsletter. She doesn't freaking read my newsletter. But she knows about yours. You do a great job of staying in touch with people. So, and you continue to stay in touch with people. My big mistake was I would speak and I would move on. And I'm embarrassed to say that I hadn't been in touch with some people for 6 or 7 years. But if you do a good job, they remember you. And this whole thing is based on the fact that you're going to be good on stage.
So when you stay in touch with people you've spoken for, that means not necessarily picking up the phone, but it can be sending them a YouTube video, sending them a blog, sending them, so that means having that mailing list.
Well, in marketing, it's called different touches. And here's something I've also discovered. If I send you 5 emails, then I'm spamming you. But here's something that's really interesting. If I send you 1 email, I send you 1 tweet, I send you a message through LinkedIn, I send you a YouTube video, and I send you a Facebook message, guess what? I'm no longer spamming you because people perceive these in different ways. It's really interesting. It's the most amazing thing I've ever seen. It's like, okay, if I send you 5 emails or if I call you 5 times, I'm bugging you. But if I contact you 5 times through these different channels, there's a different perception, and I'm still touching you in different ways. So have different forms of reaching out and touching people, to borrow the AT&T expression. I think the only thing that people need to be successful in any business, in any career, is courage. And I think most people, for whatever reason, they don't take those steps. I remember, can I tell you about the legend of Pretty Ricky?
Go ahead.
Okay. When I was in high school, I was painfully shy. I've since gotten over it. But in high school, the most popular kid in the entire school was my cousin Ricky, AKA Pretty Ricky. This is how Pretty Ricky was. We would go to parties, and women would hand him phone numbers unsolicited. And you remember like Halloween, how you would separate the good candy from the bad candy? Well, he would do that with the phone numbers. He would say, "Oh, this is good, this is bad, etc." And once a piece of paper fell, I dove and almost separated my shoulder trying to get that bad piece of candy. All right, but he knew that I liked a woman by the name of Lolita Barnes. I just need a moment, okay? And anyway, Lolita, she was head of the cheerleaders. She was class valedictorian, so she was pretty and she was smart. And he said to me, he says, "Eddie, how come you haven't asked her out?" And I said, "Well, she's pretty. She'd never go out with a guy like me." He says, "Let me ask you a question." I says, "Okay, question number one. Is she going out with you now?" I says, "Well, no." "If you ask her and she says no, will she be going out with you in the future?" I said, "Well, of course not." He says, "So your circumstances haven't changed. Nothing's changed, right?" He says, "Well, no." He says, "But if you ask her and she says yes, then everything changes." And he said to me, "Eddie, don't you say no before they say no. Never take yourself out of the game. Always ask." So the biggest thing I can tell your people is have courage. Always ask.
Well, it's fantastic advice, Ed. Thank you so much for being a part of the Message of You.
Oh, absolutely. Thank you for having me.